Hello and welcome. My name is Terry Person. You're about to begin part one of my series, Make Money Writing. It's a freelancer's intensive, which explains the key elements about how to make a living while freelance writing. This series is primarily for nonfiction writers, but I will touch on fiction from time to time. Most of the content is transferable to fiction anyway. It's just that fiction either doesn't pay at all or it pays a little less than nonfiction. As for getting published, though, almost all the same rules apply to both. I have been freelancing in fiction for over 30 years and in nonfiction for probably about as long, but 15 years as a career path. And I've been editor-in-chief for several business-to-business magazines and consumer magazines and things like that as well. So I've been on both sides of the freelance table in writing and pitching the pieces as well as in acquisitions. So I know this business really well, and I've taught this class often, and that's why I decided to do this short series. It usually takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to teach this. That's with some questions. I can usually extend it to 3 hours, but I'm hoping that by doing videos like this, it'll be a little bit shorter, and we'll just get down to the meat of things. So, having said that, welcome, and let's get started. So, get out your laptop or notebook and pen, because this first part is all about exploring who you are. So, trust me, it's not going to be a difficult thing. It's pretty easy, and we'll move on from here. But this is the basis of everything else. So, this is really important material. So, I want you to make several lists. The first list I want you to do is a list of jobs that you've done that you've been paid for. This can easily be anything from stuff you did in high school, as a packer at the grocery store, or delivering appliances, whatever else it might be, all the way up through your college days, part-time jobs, and then your career path, whether it's accountant, oceanographer, engineer, whatever it might be. That first list is very important. These are the things you really know how to do. These are the things you've done as a profession and have already proven that you're good at. So that's the way you start. Number two, the second list I'd like you to do is a list on things you've done that you did not get paid for. This list is probably a little bit shorter list, but it can be a number of things, and it can get long. For example, if you've done mechanical things, you've worked on your own car on a regular basis, and you feel like you know something about it. Babysitting services, or home repairs that you've done. Cooking, all those kinds of things. These are jobs you don't typically get paid for, but you've done and you know something about and could possibly write an article about, or at least from your perspective. So these are the first two lists. This is really fun. So the third list is going to be a blast because this is your hobbies. All the things you do when you're not working, when you're not with your family. I want you to write down what is fun for you to do, the things that you go back to over and over again, whether it's setting up model trains or gardening or whatever it might be. So now we have three lists. Hopefully you're keeping track here. We have a fourth list that I want you to write for. So when you get off this video, you're going to sit down and you're going to fill out these four lists. The fourth one are your interests, things you're really interested in but maybe don't have a whole lot of time to explore, whether it be history, UFOs, medicines, whatever it might be. Just those things that you really find that you're interested in, you just don't seem to always have enough time. But these are things that you'd like to learn more about. So those are the four items. Right now you've got four different lists. Jobs you've been paid for, jobs you have done but have not been paid for, hobbies, and interests. Now, I have a downloadable list on my website, terryperson.com, and it's in the events section. And I'll create this, I'll make sure I upload some of these lists for you. This is a magazine list. It's a magazine list that I got off the internet. It talks about print magazines only and consumer magazines only. So understand that there's probably 2,500 magazines listed here in all kinds of categories. Everything from 119 magazines for the automotive world, 56 books and literature magazines, 84 health and science magazines, let's see, 84 outdoors magazines, puzzles and games, 69 magazines, local lifestyle, 184 magazines on local lifestyle, and lifestyle interests, 103 magazines, kids and teens, 84 magazines again. There are a lot of magazines out there that are looking for material. These are just a few of them. There's probably 3 to 5 times more than this. This is just a small list. Almost every subject you can imagine has got a magazine associated with it. So this is really important stuff. What I want you to do is to go through this list once you download it and once you've done your own 4 lists. And I want you to start looking at prioritizing what are the things you've done and know the most about, whether you got paid for them or not. What is it that you really feel comfortable that you know more about than most other people? I want you to write those things and prioritize those from the thing you know the best to the least. And then the second list from the 4 lists, again, we're paring this down to 2 lists. The things that you are most interested in and or are hobbies that you know a lot about and can possibly or will be interested in writing articles about. I want you to take those 2 lists then and match them to these magazines. And look at the magazines that you might be able to write an article for each magazine. So if it's an automotive magazine, don't just look at how to repair your automobile, how to maintain it, how to keep it beautiful or anything like that. Look outside the box, because those magazines also need things about general subjects. For example, how to keep your accounting for the material, the work you've done on your automobile, so you can take it off on your taxes. Perhaps it has things to do about what's legal and in working with these automobiles. What's legal if you go and work on your neighbor's car? What can you, if you get harmed or anything like that, is there a liability there? So subjects outside of the actual subject of the particular magazine. Now, broad magazines like some of the local magazines, just for local interest magazines, you could probably write almost anything for those. So look at these magazines, recognize that there are so many places to get published these days. And remember that it's not just the print magazines, but online magazines. All these magazines have an online element. And there are many, many magazines that are online only. So we're talking a lot of places need your writing. And we know now from your lists what you do well. So once you match all these, start to think of the types of articles you'll be able to write. Even write down titles of articles or short blurbs on what an article might include. This is the beginning. This is a great place to start. Once you have all this put together, you'll have a good basis to move forward on. So this is the end of this piece. It's something that you're going to take 10 or 15, 20 minutes to do afterward. And then next time we come back for the next class, I'm going to start talking about not only the consumer magazines, which we've talked about here, but what's the difference between those popular magazines business-to-business magazines, and scholarly magazines. What are the differences? What are the similarities? And how might you approach each one of those? So that's the next class. I thank you for coming, and hopefully this has been useful so far. This is really the basis of everything, so get started. Thank you.